Hello, hello, my hey, I got something to say, women and men that support us around the world. And you've had a lot to say recently. So let me just start out. I will get back to you as quickly as possible. I love that you're sending me so many questions for my guest, some for me, some for them. And my guest, Vera, who's in the house, you had so many questions for. Vera,
Yes.
piles of questions for you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah. They have a lot to say about words.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
They're all good, but I'm sure if you can't get them all in, you can reach out to Vera. But let's just get started. I always pick a move for my guests. And you know what the move I think about when I think of you? You ready for this?
I'm ready. Oh, we're going to do this, are we?
And I can see it. It looks like behind you too.
Oh, that's true. Hey, yeah.
You know, Stacy Fritz, she got the chicken. She's like, why that? I don't know. You made me laugh. Chicken. Vera, I'm so glad we got together. I don't think I've seen you since we both took this course in heroic
Yeah.
public speaking years ago, right?
Years ago. Yeah. Yeah. I don't even know how many years ago. I lose track of all that stuff.
Me too. It was a beat. So thank you for being on the show. I love your message. I love what you're putting out there. It's so important. It's dear to my heart. So let's just jump into it.
Go for it.
You have a routine that you do every day to get in a powerful, positive mindset.
hmm I wake up in the morning, I make myself a cup of coffee, and I sit down with, yep, I gotta have my coffee. And I sit down with my journal and I used to do morning pages and then a journal, because morning pages is where you just dump everything, right? And then that clears your brain. And journal is supposedly where you get deep thoughts and all these kinds of stuff. And I discovered that I couldn't keep the two journals going. So I just open up my book and I go. And I always, here's my tip to get to the page. Like sometimes you sit there and you step at the blank page. I start every morning by writing the date, the time, the temperature, and if I stepped on the scale, my weight. Just go to the page. Just start writing.
So many people come on here and tell me about their journals. I've never had that one. Date, and if I took my weight, yeah. Oh my God.
Well, that keeps me aware of whether or not I'm gaining or lowering weight. But the point is to just put something on the paper so you start, right? And sometimes I just talk about what's bugging me, and sometimes I brainstorm things that I'm going to do the day. Sometimes if I'm planning or I'm getting ready for a speech or a workshop, I'll be writing out what my thoughts are. Sometimes I'll write what I'm worried about, like just whatever. It's just that showing up for yourself in all the moods that you're in. And then if the day isn't going to be too crunched or anything, then what I do is I take my coffee or a cup of tea or something and I go sit outside in my gazebo because I'm fortunate enough to live on a tidal river. Now, that's only in 3 seasons because the 4th season it's a bit cold, but I live on a tidal river and I've got herons and ospreys and eagles and you name it. It's just a beautiful way to stay connected and calm and creative.
Wish I could see your backyard. So I do everything in one journal too. I do have the same routine for certain things, my power statement, my word, and all that. But then I have a place I call Scribble Scrabble, and then another place I call Brain Drain. And sometimes there's a brain drain and Scribble Scrabble, and sometimes there isn't, depending on what's going on inside my head. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I love that. I also, and no matter what weather, I sit out on my front porch, even if it's just for a few minutes to take in Mother Nature. But I mean, I have birds and I see my cats eating the birds, but I don't.
No, we get deer, foxes. I've had moose go through my yard. Oh yeah, babies like that are like about a ton, but yeah, it's a lovely place to be.
I would be in heaven. In heaven. And that's beautiful. All right. Let me tell you a little bit about Vera. You know what, Vera? Wait a minute, before we even get started, you do realize that your energy gives off, like, I feel like I'm sitting with Mother Nature.
Oh, cool. I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. And it's very much like I feel like I'm going outside. I'm going to sit next to a tree and Vera's going to be there. I just had to tell you that. That's what I feel every time I'm with you. And I haven't been in your presence much, but it's the same feeling. All right. Anyhow, Vera knows what it's like to feel limited by labels. For years, I didn't know this. She let a birth defect and chronic pain define what was possible. Then she discovered a simple truth. The words we use to talk to and about ourselves shape our lives. Today, this TEDx speaker, author, and success mentor helps women rewrite the inner dialogue through her signature Wordz, W-O-R-D-Z, We Wear program, moving from I can't because to what if I could, and defining success on their own terms. Vera lives in New Brunswick, Canada, with her husband, Marcel, 100 pairs of earrings, and the belief that, oh my God, I love this, that your best life is whatever you define it to be. There's so much to even unpack on that, but we're going to come back. Let's get to your power statement. Believe in yourself. If you don't value yourself, how can you expect others to value you? Mira, it just seems there's so like, yes, but we don't do that a lot of times.
We don't. We don't. And that's, I think that's the whole basis on which I started to write my book. I mean, my husband and I ran businesses for 3 decades, and we had a lot of women in particular working with us. And you'd find yourself dealing with all of these incredibly brilliant, talented women who would never see themselves with the potential that they have and never project that potential, and therefore they don't live up to it. And that's what started me on this whole aspect of writing about the words we wear. And I mean, the analogy on that, because I predominantly want to talk to women, is that words are labels. And just like the clothing labels we wear, they affect how we feel and how we show up. And women all know, we know what we feel like when we put on high heels, when we put on a black sexy dress, when we put on our yoga clothes. All of those clothing, those types of clothing give us feelings, and we show up based on our feelings. And the same thing happens with the words we use when we talk about ourselves. And so if we use words that devalue us or play small or whatnot, we're not going to achieve everything we have the capability of achieving.
I was just having this huge conversation with my son. He's a junior in college, and he was getting on the train this morning, and he spilt something, and then he went and he spilt the other thing, and the words out of his mouth were like, oh my God, I'm so stupid. And as I cringed.
Yep. So next time somebody says like that, you say to him, don't talk to my son like that.
I went through this whole
Yeah, don't talk to my son like that. He's a great kid.
Okay, that would have been a lot less than my 10-minute soapbox on the power of words. Mom, now we're really going to be late for the train, and we just cleaned up the coffee. Oh my gosh. Okay, that's way better than what I said.
Yeah, don't talk to my husband like that. Don't talk to my best friend like that. You
Okay.
can say it to yourself. You can say, don't talk to that young woman like that.
Okay, so we're going to take a huge pause here, because a lot of the questions that my people wrote in, and my questions too, is what about the people that you love that go, what is wrong with you? Just because I said the word stupid, it doesn't affect me. You're thinking of it in all the wrong way. And that, how do you even get through to them? Or do you, I mean, you love them. So I'm always like, I don't want to convince anybody of the way I believe. I always say that. I want to talk to people that really want to hear what I have to hear. And so I'm very much that person. But when it's your kids or your spouse and you love them and you could see these words are affecting them, and they're like, oh, stop with your self-help stuff. What do you do?
I think what we have to worry about is not projecting our beliefs onto somebody else. So when you say self-help, that's us projecting what we want them to do, right?
Yeah.
I've had to learn,
Yes.
yeah, right? And that's fine, and you want it, but I've had to learn. I've got two kids. They're both grown right now. One just got married 2 weeks ago. One's getting married next June. And I've had to learn that mom has to take a step back sometimes and
Mm,
say, okay, I had to learn by myself. It took me a long time to figure this out.
yeah.
While I want to save them some of the grief, I can't prevent them from taking their own journey.
Mm,
And sometimes that's what it is. It's the journey we're on and it's the journey of discovery. And you know yourself that when something's too easy, you don't get the same benefit from it. Like
true.
making a cup of coffee when you grind the beans and everything smells so much better than just putting a pot in the machine and pushing the lever down,
I love that.
right?
Yeah.
And so, and that's what it's like if we deny somebody their journey. So you can't deny somebody their journey. All you can do is like give them the assurance that they're loved and respected no matter what. So to say, don't talk to my son like that. Don't talk to my husband like that. I love my husband. He's a kind and generous man, and I know he will do something for anyone. Let them hear that message. No,
That's so true too. Do you know my husband? No.
I know my husband. And when he says, what an idiot I am, I'm going, oh no, my husband is just this amazing man who just does so much for other people.
Oh, I freaking love that, Vera.
And then they start to hear the message that you want them to hear, not the lesson, not the teacher. Because nobody, we're at that age. And I think even when we were younger, a lot of us didn't want the teachers to preach at us, right?
Mm-mm.
No. We want to believe we're independent. We want to believe that we can make our own decisions. But we also want to know we're loved and respected for no matter who we are, that we don't have to be perfect, that we can make mistakes, that we can change and grow and be something different one day to the next, that we have different personalities, we have good days, we have bad days.
Mhm.
And maybe most of all, when we talk about our kids, they have to know that we will allow them to be their own person.
Okay. Well, I'm going to just, have to repeat this morning. It wasn't my finest work.
Yeah.
Okay. But you're getting not perfect. So I need to know what you mean by this. Change the way you introduce yourself.
Okay, I'm going to come back on one thing that you said before. Is like, you're not perfect and you don't have to be perfect.
Yeah.
We learn something every time we do something. So like,
Absolutely.
so change the way you introduce yourself. So most of the time, women in particular, when I ask them, how do you introduce yourself in a social situation? How do you introduce yourself when you go to work? Women introduce themselves as, I'm so-and-so's wife, I'm so-and-so's mother, I'm so-and-so's sister, or I'm a podcaster, I'm an accountant, I'm a lawyer, whatever. We introduce ourselves with respect to, who we're related to or what we do.
Mhm.
How does that value us? I love being a mother, but that doesn't make me unique. I love being my husband's wife, but that doesn't tell anybody anything special about me. If I introduce myself and saying, hi, I'm Vera, Marcel is my husband, not I'm Marcel's wife. Marcel is my husband. And if people say, what do you do? I said, I make people think. People are either going to run because they don't want to think, or they're going to say, why? What do you do? If you have a superpower and you want to talk about it, then introduce yourself with that. That's one of the other things I say, lead from your superpower. Because, I'm jumping too far ahead, but the way we introduce ourselves really and truly tells people who we are and what we think about ourselves. So if we say, I'm so-and-so's wife, we're not adding any value to the question mark. We're just there as a wife,
I gotcha.
right?
You can still say, my husband is
Yep.
Eric. It's
Yep.
different.
Yes. You're putting yourself on a different ground. And then you can also say, I can say, my husband is Marcel and I'm an author and a speaker,
Yeah.
instead of just saying I'm Marcel's wife.
Yeah. And depending on the group, it might shift a bit.
Yes.
So
Yes.
the last place I went, which my friends were embarrassed, you would get it. They're like, so what do you do? And I go, I'm an energy shifter.
I love it. I love it. Yes.
I'm like, oh God, here she goes. I go, would you rather me say I spread joy?
Yeah, that's good too.
Yeah. And it depends on the group.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I wouldn't say on an airplane, well, it depends who's sitting beside me. If somebody's being a bit pompous, I might say I make people think. But if somebody just looks like they're more grandmother, like I might say, well, I'm a mother of two amazing adults, right?
Yeah. And I really do believe wholeheartedly that it matters, those messages that we say over and over again every single time. And if so many of them are subconscious, that the more you say them, it's ingrained in you. And I can feel the difference within me. Forget about the responses. I can feel it within me.
Yeah. It's one of the things I often say is that the brain is an idiot. It doesn't know the difference between truth and fiction. So what you say over and over is what it believes. So if you say, I'm clumsy, it believes you're clumsy. And your body listens to your brain, and all of a sudden your body says, oh, you don't have to lift your feet to step over that threshold. You can just trip on it. You're clumsy.
So true. So it's not a lie if you believe it to be true. My friends just always said when they were younger, but it's true.
Yeah. And so if you want to change, you have to change the way you talk about yourself. It's like, you can say, I'm becoming more like I took Tai Chi, like I have a leg length difference. So in fact, I grew up being told I was clumsy because I did trip a lot. It took me a long time to realize I'm not clumsy. I have a leg length difference. It's a little bit difficult for me to find balance. So balance is my issue, not clumsiness. So I took Tai Chi, and that's helped with my balance.
Okay. Well, I need to go back then. So when you said you had a birth defect and chronic pain, is it because of the leg indifference?
Yeah, I had a birth condition that one of my legs didn't grow properly. So when I was 8, I had a 4-inch leg length difference.
Ooh,
That's a lot, yes.
odd.
Yeah, a lot. And so obviously, I couldn't walk very well. Now I've had 6 major surgeries. I had the first one when I was 8 years old, and I had 4 then before I was 17. So I kind of grew up ostracized and off in the corner. So when we talk about labels, I know all about labels. I know all about being alone and the way you get defined, because I was told it was a birth defect. And so I grew up believing I was defective. And that, you talk about believing what was I perceived as the truth, meant that, yeah. So like I grew up believing that, I would probably never be anyone. I could never become anyone. I didn't deserve to be loved. Like I grew up with a lot of really limiting beliefs because I was defective.
Okay. That's huge. You're right. You have a birth defect. You're defected. It matters. So when was it, how old were you when you were like, wait a minute, I'm not defected? How old were you?
I was in my 20s before I started to figure it out. It took a long time to get past it, because when you've been like that your entire life. I was in my 20s. I had a head-on collision. I'd married as a teenager, and I had this head-on collision when I was 22, and realized that I was in a marriage that wasn't working, and I couldn't figure out what was wrong with my life. And then I realized that I was wrong with my life because I was just accepting whatever was coming my way without challenging, without questioning it, without saying I deserve more. And so I left my marriage at the age of 23, which didn't sit very well with my Irish Catholic father. He didn't want me to get married, but then he said, you made your bed, you got to sleep in it. I said, I'm not going to. So he disowned me.
I'm sorry.
No, you know what? At the time it was really hard, but Sandy, it was the best thing he ever did for me, because we grow up living up to the expectations of our parents and our teachers and preachers and the whole works, right? At 23, on my own, for the first time in my life, I had nobody telling me what to do. I could create my own path.
Mm.
It's like in my book, I call it the expectation ceiling. We live up to the expectations we have for ourselves and down to the expectations that other people have for us. It's where we stop. If somebody says to me what they did, you're a girl, you can't get a university degree, what good would it do you? So then you think, I don't need to get a university degree. So it's that expectation ceiling that we like either say, yes, I can, or well, no, I can't. And so for me, I mean, I screwed up a lot. I made a lot of mistakes. I often say I got my master's in mistakes. That was my education. But the thing is, when you get to make your own decisions, you get to find that path that I was talking about earlier. You become your own person. Some of us choose the hard way to do it. Some people find an easier way. But it's in learning that if I make a mistake because I made a decision, an active decision, it's an experiment. If I make a mistake because I'm doing what somebody else tells me to do, which is a passive choice, then I'm letting somebody else control my life.
Ah, I like the first one.
Me too. And we all have that ability. Maybe not in everything that's happening, and circumstances change everything. Not everyone has the ability to make all the choices. But our identity is based on what they call the ABCs, our actions, behaviors, and choices. So the choices we make, the actions that they encourage us to take, and the behaviors that that happen as a result of that are what determine who we are. And so every time we make a new choice, we actually have the ability to change our action, behaviors, choices, and our identity. That's how we grow.
Isn't that wonderful?
That's how we grow. Every choice we make changes who we are. And so we can make it an active choice or we can make it a passive choice. And that's where words come in, because the words we use are all choices.
I love words. They've been one of my favorite things. And I do movement, words, and laughter. But even when I was a little kid, Vera, and after I would move around, I would think of a word of how I wanted to show up that day. Now, I didn't know what I was doing. I started this when I was like 9.
Nice.
And I would just think, today I'm going to be powerful. Today I'm going to be strong. It could be joyful. And I would write it down. And then I would check in, like, am I feeling strong? To this day, I still do that. But when I was doing it as a kid, I didn't know what it was doing. It just made me feel better.
Oh, yeah, you were totally in tune with the ability of your brain to connect to your body.
And I knew if I moved and focused in, and then I would laugh about nothing. But I didn't call it movement, words, and laughter until recently. It was just what I did. And I think about it. And as you're saying, we get to choose every single day. How fortunate was I that something innately told me to tap into these words?
You're really, really way ahead of your time.
And I feel so blessed. That's why when I saw what you were doing, I'm like, oh my goodness, Vera, you have to keep telling people all over the world, because it really does matter. So I want to get in, because I know we're going to run out of time, and I'm going to be like, oh my God, I didn't even get in her major points. And stop saying just. Do you mean like I'm just like my side gig, my side hustle,
Yeah.
not doing what you really want?
Yeah. Stop minimizing. Stop minimizing. If you're doing something, don't say it's just a passion project. If you're doing something that's really important to you, you're doing something that's important to you. It's a mission, it's a vision, it's a dream. It's not just a passion project. And you're not just a wife, and you're not just new at your business. You're beginning, you're not just new.
Can I tell you that even women I meet, Vera, that were founders of businesses, right? And then they semi-retired, right? In their 60s or whatever. And they did so many amazing things, and they are doing amazing things. And I just went to a networking thing last week, and I was thinking of you, because the one's like, oh, I'm just a wife right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, you're not just. I mean, you could. It's fine enough to say I'm retired from the business. I'm reading full time. I'm gardening. I'm focusing on my grandchildren. You're not just anything. Just is a minimization word. I hate just. I mean, we say it. I still catch myself, right?
Yeah.
But it's when we minimize it. It comes back to what I said earlier. If we don't value ourselves, if we tell people we're just a wife, how do we expect them then to show respect for what we do? If you tell somebody, I just started designing clothes, how do you expect anyone to pay you what they're worth? If you say, I'm just a new speaker, how do you expect anyone to hire you to speak?
Shooey mama, you just made me think of something. I sold my health clubs in 2019, and I remember when people said, well, what are you doing now? I said, Vera, where were you? I said, oh, I'm just speaking now. Because in my mind, it wasn't as grandiose as owning health clubs. And who was I? And I just said for many years, oh, I'm just speaking now.
So
What
you
the hell?
minimized your speaking.
What
And yet it's what it's you're so good at it.
I don't think I do that anymore, but I wasn't realize it was subconsciously
Yep.
because I think I felt, oh my God, who am I now? And they're right. Oh, what are you going to do now? And I'll never be da, 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 da. And now I don't feel that way anymore, but it wasn't a conscious thing. That's wackadoo. Why weren't you there in my life before? Just huge.
It is.
That's
It's huge. If we get rid of just and we get rid of should, we can
yeah.
change our lives.
Okay. So I love this one. Lead with your superpower. That's where your confidence is built. So go through it again with us because I think these points are so valuable.
So one of the things, so I don't know if you met JJ Manella through HPS. She's amazing, Jennifer. Her line, what I quote in my book is always be a leader, even if you're only leading yourself.
Ooh, that's good.
Isn't that good? That line just kind of really hit me. And I thought, okay, how do we lead ourselves? I believe all women, other people too, but again, my audience is focused on women because I believe we need more support than men do. I believe all women are leaders. We just don't call ourselves leaders. We're project managers. We're organizers. We're volunteers. We're event planners. We're the second in command at work, the vice president or what vice president. We're the people who make things happen and let somebody else stand in front and do it. So we lead, we just don't call ourselves leaders. So what I'm suggesting is that let's lead from your superpower because then you can become a leader overtly. So if you're highly organized and somebody needs an organizer, you put up your hand and you say, I'll take that on. I'm an organizer. I'll take that on as a bake sale. I'll take on volunteering for the bake sale because I'm a great cook. I'll take on writing the PR for the Rotary Club because I'm great on social media. Right? Lead from your superpower. Start with something that you do well. State that you do it well. Don't just say, well, I'll do that because nobody else wants to do it.
Yes,
Wrong
yes.
way to do it.
Right, right.
But if you start from something you do well, so we'll go back to the brain. You go back to the brain. You do this. You take on this job and you do the social media for the Rotary Club. My husband's heavily involved in Rotary, so that's always top. And you do it, and everybody says, "Oh, Sandy, you just did a great job of that." Your confidence goes up, right? And then somebody else will come along and say, and somebody will say, "Can you do that for me too?" And you go, "Well, I can, but you know what? It's taking me away from my paid job. Can I charge you for it?" Oh, yes, absolutely. I wouldn't mind at all if you could do that. How much do you charge? Lead from your superpower. Get paid and valued for what you do well.
You know what's really funny? there's so many like brain explosions of little things, and I'm so into it, and I can still see what I've done. Work in progress. So I just had the greatest opportunity 2 weeks, not even 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago, to do a keynote at my alumni for women entrepreneurs, right? It was surreal. I mean, they were ready to go, right? I could have just blown my nose and they would laugh, right? It was just the right audience. Everything was just amazing. And instead of, I'm getting a lot of response from the people on LinkedIn, and instead of like, they're like, oh my God, that was amazing, amazing. And then like, you deserve like a million standing ovations. They're saying, thank you, thank you. I'm like, well, the audience was really great. I mean, I feel very blessed. You could see, I feel very blessed to be amongst those women. The audience, I wish I could take them on the road. They were ready to go. And not that they weren't, but I can just hear myself making.
You're demeaning yourself, not on purpose, but we're brought up to believe we have to be good girls, that we can't stand out, that we can't be better than everybody else, right?
And even to yet today, someone's like, oh my God, I'm still thinking of the joy you spread. I'm like, well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. The audience.
No, no, no. Instead, it's like, thank you very much. My goal in life is to spread joy.
And I feel uncomfortable with that much praise. I don't know the
Don't
word.
value yourself. How do you expect anyone else to value you?
That crazy wackadoo. Yes, it was a great audience. I love the
And what made
page and all my LinkedIn responses. Edit.
what made it better is that my goal in life is to spread joy, and seeing it on their faces made it all worthwhile.
That's different. That has a different feeling.
Yes.
Yeah. So true. And you're right. Women, we are like that. Like, oh, thank you. Or even when you say, oh, I love your jacket, this little thing I got at the consignment store. I did, but instead of just saying thank you.
Yes. And
Just,
thank you is a complete sentence.
yeah.
It's really funny because I did a workshop with a bunch of theater groups in New Brunswick last year, I think it was. And we talked about the fact how even speakers, when they're finished and the audience gives them a standing ovation, they sometimes go like, did I deserve that? Didn't I deserve that? And this one comedian stood up and said, like, I never know what to say when people tell me that they love the show. And I said, what's wrong with thank you?
Yeah.
And he goes, is that enough? And I said, yeah, because what you're doing, somebody has just given you a gift and said, I loved what you did. If you say, oh, I just got it at the consignment store, you're minimizing their gift.
Yeah.
If you say thank you, you're actually giving them a gift back, which is the recognition that they recognized you.
Well, I'll tell you what I did. I cried. When they gave me a standing ovation, I went, and I don't know, it was tears of, I don't know, relief or joy, but I just was bawling like a baby. I don't know what that means.
That's okay. That's joy.
Okay. So that works. Oh my good. Vera, I'm so grateful for what you're putting out in the world,
Thank you.
especially for women. I mean, I knew I was going to love having you on the show, and not that I love all my guests, but it really, even I practice powerful mindset. I journal. I believe the words matter. And it's so, I'm all these things that I'm like, ooh, I didn't even realize I was doing it.
We
Wasn't
don't.
even aware.
We don't. It's just something that's so innately drilled in, is so drilled into us when we're growing up that we don't even know what's happening. And like I said, one of the advantages I had of having all the surgeries early on is that I couldn't do anything. I used to say I could read and wash dishes. That was about it. But I became an avid reader, and in doing so became a learner and a researcher. And I think that has stood me stead as I've tried to understand and explore mindset and vision and growth and all of the things that make us individuals that deserve to be honored as individuals and as deserving human beings.
Mm. Well, they're definitely going to get your book, The Wordz We Wear. But tell me about a little bit. I know we're running out of time, but I didn't know you had two other books. You Can, You Will, and Mission Accepted. Are they
Yes,
available?
I'm contributing authors in both of those. So they're the type where there's a chapter in one and then a page in another one. So I'm a contributing author in both those. Both of those, if you go look me up on Amazon, they're all together.
Oh,
Yeah, so I have an Amazon authors page. So if you look up my name, all of those will show up. And you can connect to, I'm jumping ahead, but you can connect to my book, my TEDx, my Substack, because I write a Substack called, you'll love this, Sandy, Nearly Naked Truths. I'm going to come back to that.
walk around nude all day long.
I'm going to come back to that in a sec, but they're all on my website. So my website is a good place to get that. But I'm going to write a post on Nearly Naked Truths because I called it was initially how I started to just write my morning journals when I was on my laptop. I would be filing something in a folder, and one day I decided to call it Nearly Naked Truths because I quite often just get up with my coffee and sit in front of the big double doors here, and sometimes I'm hardly dressed and I'll be writing. So I just, and Vera means truths, so I thought that was really cool. But the other day I went to get on a podcast and I got the time wrong. And when she called and she said, "Are you going on the podcast?" I was standing there in my underwear.
You just said yes.
I said, "Oh my God, I'm living up way too close to my brand right now."
My husband, who is so completely opposite of me, God love him, and he'd be like, "What are you doing?" I go, "Who's seeing me? The deer in the backyard?" And he would be like, he like locks the door to brush his teeth.
Oh my God, yeah, no, I like there's nobody out here, so like if I want to stand here, what difference does it make, right?
I love it, love it. All right, so your book, just tell us a little bit about what they can expect from the book, The Wordz We Wear.
So the Wordz We Wear is really about the way we talk to and about ourselves. The goal of it is to help us understand our self-worth, and the way in which we talk to and about ourselves changes who we are and what we can become. Because the truth is that we don't learn how to value ourselves. We don't learn that it's okay to want more, to pursue more, to be more. And we also don't learn that it's okay to change and grow and be different personalities with different people. Mm-hmm. And the other thing so I talk about all of those in the various chapters, and I talk about the expectation ceiling that hold us back. I talk about the cage of labels that the words we use that prevent us from stepping into our power. And I talk a lot about definitions of success from a woman's point of view. I think there's 4 chapters on success from a woman's point of view. And I interviewed 30 women for the book when I was doing it. And the cool thing, Sandy, when we talked about success for women all have an emotional basis. Mm. So whether it's freedom or creativity or connection, it isn't money, power, and status. Those come, but they're not what's driving it. So what the Wordz We Wear does, and it's written in a way that you can skim through it and find what you need. You don't have to read it front to back. It's not heavy psychological jargon. My goal was to make it so that you didn't have to have 10 years of therapy to figure out that you're not defective, but you're worthy.
20 years, keep going.
Seriously, I really wanted I'm left brain, right brain, and I wanted to take the complex subject of self-worth and self-identity and put it in a way that a woman could read it and get something from it immediately. And that's what I do in my workshops as well. It's like, I love doing the interactive workshops to change the way we introduce ourselves and seeing how people sit up taller, right? Just changing the way you introduce yourself can make such a difference. So the book is basically about that. It's helping you see that you're a beautiful, talented, amazing, powerful individual, and you can define success on your own terms.
All right, Vera. is there anything we didn't get in that you want to tell women and men that support us around the world?
I think you matter. Oh, I will say one thing. One of my mentors said something. Yeah. Okay, I'll do your dance after all. Um, Philip McKernan, who was my husband's coach and mentor and became ours too. We did couples training with him as well. Couples training, that sounds awful, but just like couples reuniting and reconnecting. And one of the things he said to me, which I will always remember, is he says, "Why are you being so goddamn selfish? Why are you keeping your gifts from the world?"
Yeah.
And that's what I would want to say behind is that, like, if you've got gifts to share, share them. Not if, you do have.
Yeah. Why are you being so selfish? I can just see that.
Yeah.
We need to be selfish.
Yeah.
All right. And tell us again where they can find you.
So, social media wise, I'm mostly on LinkedIn. My full name, Vera Milan Gervais. And everything else, my Substack, my TEDx, my books, my speaking topics, workshops are all on my website, which is veragervais.com. So VERAGERVAIS.com. That's the easiest way to get a hold. And I love these. I love the podcast. I love the masterminds. So yeah, I just wanna tell people they matter.
They do, don't they?
Yes.
And now I'm going to change. We did this at the beginning, but this is my move for you instead. By the way, when I said to Vera, do you want to make a move? She's like, San, I watched your stuff. My biggest move, I hug people. But this is going to be because I'm so excited.
Okay.
Bah, bah,
Oh my
bah,
gosh.
bah, bah, bah.
I
This
could,
was awesome. All right. Hey, I got something to say. Peeps, I love you. Thank you for supporting me through all the ups and downs for all the years. I love you. I know I'm biased. I think you are the best, but you are. You're filled with so much peace, love, and joy, and I feel it in abundance. And I'm so appreciative that so many of you have an abundant mindset. There's enough for everyone, and I'm grateful. Vera, thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate it. And you know what I'm going to say? Until next time, toodles.